welcome back into another episode of the GOAT Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm your host, Jim Neander, back with you again for another episode. Thanks for joining us. All right, so we've got a great episode for you today. We are moving on to part 3 of our draft prep series, our mock draft prep series, 12-parter. And we're moving on to part 3 this week. So what we're doing is we're basically drafting a draft from every single draft spot, 12-team PPR mock draft from every spot, using my own rankings so that you can see what your team might look like if you go ahead and use the strategies that I would use and the team that I would probably draft from that draft position. It's as simple as that. So we've already done drafts from the number 1 and the number 2. So, as you can imagine, we had Christian McCaffrey and then Saquon Barkley. We're not trying to make some crazy picks here early. We really want to be, as true to the process as we can be. So we're going to show you what we think actually will happen. Although, of course, I am going to use my rankings. So where they differ, I might pick my guys. So that's what's going to happen here, all right? All right, so as we start this off, we figure we know what's going to happen, and that is what happened, right? We have Christian McCaffrey off the board. We have Saquon Barkley off the board. Now, typically, I might be thinking about, looking at somebody like Alvin Kamara here, because I actually did have Kamara ahead of him previously. But with the news that Alvin Kamara hasn't been at practice, and it looks like the reason is because of his contract, I think I can go ahead and I can pick, Zeke Elliott here. I think that's the better pick. It makes more sense to me. I just think it makes sense here. Why not take the sure thing instead of even thinking about, taking somebody that you're not sure about, somebody that has any question marks. When you're at the number 3, I just don't see the reason why you would do that. So, we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Zeke here, and we're going to go from there, all right? All right, let's draft Zeke. Boom. Here we go. All right, we're off and running. Okay, so let's go to the draft board here. We're not going to go through every pick as we haven't been. Just kind of give you the highlights here, tell you anything that kind of stands out, people that are falling a little lower than you expected to. So here we go. Lots of running backs in the beginning, just as we would expect. Anything that sticks out in the first round, nothing really. Second round, the thing that sticks out is Travis Kelce going as the second pick in the second round. So maybe a little bit earlier than he has been, a few picks. Todd Gurley. All right, so that's actually the first thing that really sticks out. Todd Gurley as the 203 is very, very high. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I mean, that is running back 12 because a lot of running backs were picked. But that's still pretty high for me to have Todd Gurley in the early second round ahead of Aaron Jones, ahead of Joe Mixon, ahead of Nick Chubb. You got to really, really be a Gurley believer to have him in that spot. So that's a little bit confusing. Only 4 receivers at this point have come off the board. Michael Thomas, Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins as the wide receiver 3 again, which I think is a big mistake, and Julio Jones. So, it does leave me with Tyreek Hill. He's definitely, an option here. George Kittle's still there, and I would love to get George Kittle. So let's look at the cheat sheets here. When I look at tight end, and I do want George Kittle, but then, we have Tyreek Hill, Chris Godwin, Allen Robinson, Kenny Golladay, DJ Moore. I'd be happy with a few of those guys as my wide receiver 1. And then we have James Conner, Chris Carson, Melvin Gordon, Le'Veon Bell. If you watched episodes 1 and 2, which I hope you did, you'll know that I love James Conner, kind of around the turn. But this is still a little bit too early for him. So I am going to go with Tyreek Hill here, which I haven't been going wide receiver in the second round so far, but he hasn't fallen this far. So I'm going with Tyreek Hill. My team's going to look a little bit different here, and I want to see what my grade is. So, unfortunately, George Kittle did go the pick before I was up again. So he went into the third round. He didn't make it back to me. It looks like James Conner did, though. So let's see here. We know James Conner made it back. Patrick Mahomes has already been selected, but Lamar Jackson has not. Now, I haven't done this much, but Lamar Jackson's been going, in the third round, and I'm going to go ahead and pick Lamar Jackson. I want to see what my team looks like with Lamar in the third, so that's what we're going to do here. So, all right, we have Lamar in the third. Now, it's going to be a long pick. Now, here's the problem, is that our number 2 running back, We got very, very lucky. We got extraordinarily lucky. We missed out on James Conner, but Leonard Fournette was picked. We know Leonard Fournette was dropped, so we got that information. He's still going to go somewhere, going to have some value, but we don't know where. I'm not picking him in the third round. Then James Conner went, and Le'Veon Bell. But between those picks, there were 18 picks, and only 3 running backs came off the board. So there was a ton of wide receivers that went. So I got to look running back here. I'll find another wide receiver. There's plenty out there. But let's look running back. Let's look, at the other positions. So, this is why you pick a second running back. Because now we're at Melvin Gordon, David Johnson, Jonathan Taylor, Mark Ingram, Kareem Hunt, Devin Singletary. None of these guys are guys that I really want as my number 2 running back. I'm down on Melvin Gordon. So down I can't say his name correctly, apparently. Let's look to see my rankings here, where I have some of these guys. Melvin Gordon, I have at 24. He's the running back 18 off the board right now. David Johnson, I have at running back 20. So I guess he would be my pick, and I don't feel good about that. But I need a running back, and I'm going David Johnson. Ugh. Man, that's gonna tank. That's gonna tank my draft grade. We'll see. Ugh. All right, so I'm back up. Only a few picks. Melvin Gordon went right after that, and some more wide receivers. Some of the ones I really like. Let's see who's still there. Out of the guys I really, really like, Robert Woods is gone. A.J. Brown's gone. McLaurin, Devontae Parker. A lot of these guys are gone. So let me look. You guys, you know who I'm looking at. If you watch the show, you know exactly who I'm looking for right now. It's Michael Gallup. So I want to see how many guys are ahead of him. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's about 6, 7 wide receivers ahead of Michael Gallup, as well as a handful of running backs that I would expect to go before him. Now I'm still hoping one of the top 4 remaining. I got Lamar Jackson. See, I'm so just not used to drafting a quarterback early that I forgot that I did already. So I'm not worried about getting one of those top 4 quarterbacks. So, I want Michael Gallup to come back to me. But I'm going with Tyler Lockett here. I love Tyler Lockett. I have them ranked back-to-back, but I only have a chance. Oh, well, man, it happened to me again. Was Michael Gallup the next pick? No, he wasn't the next pick, but he was only a few picks after that. So I went with Tyler Lockett. The very next pick was DK Metcalf, which is interesting because there's definitely a conversation to be had about who's going to be the number 1 wide receiver at the end of the year for this team. Because DK Metcalf can be a touchdown monster. I mean, 13-14 is something that's within the realm of possibility. I'm not calling for that, but I think I do have him as a double-digit touchdown guy. All right, so keep going, though. Michael Gallup went off a few picks later. We had some tight ends go. So I'm not going to get one of those top, 4 or 5 tight ends, which is fine. I'm going to wait a little bit longer. I'm okay with that. So right now we need a running back. Really, we do. We have 2 running backs, and we don't love our second running back. Tyreek Hill and Tyler Lockett, I'm thrilled. I have 2 wide receivers I think are absolute beasts. But I need to take some swings at running back here now. It would have been DeAndre Swift, but I'm not convinced now that he's going to be starting the season for the Lions. Same thing with David Montgomery. You have Raheem Mostert, James White, Ronald Jones, Tariq Cohen. I'm going Ronald Jones. I think he's the starter at this point that has the most upside, but also is definitely going to get some work. Mostert was a thought, but I couldn't go with Mostert there. I had to go with my gut there. I think that Ronald Jones is the right pick. I'm still going to get another really good receiver here in the next round, and that's kind of the point. So that my flex is not necessarily Ronald Jones. He could be my second running back. He could be my flex, or he could be on my bench. If I go wide receiver here, there's still going to be guys that I really like. I mean, Jarvis Landry, I know that he's going to start the season with a hip injury, and we're not sure when he's going to get in, but we know he's going to be a target machine when he does come in, and he doesn't have to be a starter for me. Another guy that doesn't have to be a starter for me is Julian Edelman, Marvin Jones, Brandon Cooks, Christian Kirk. These guys are really solid options that I can go with. I can go a little deeper at running back. If I wanted to look tight end, Hunter Henry's still out there I don't like. Higbee, Hayden Hurst. Do I want to wait for Hayden Hurst one more round into the 8th? I will. All right, I want Hayden Hurst in the 8th. Let's see if that happens. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick a wide receiver here, and try to get Hayden Hurst in the next round. I'm going Marvelous Marvin Jones, and let's see what happens. All right. No tight ends so far. No tight ends. Not a single tight end went off the board between those picks. So 18 picks. Nothing happened. I didn't want it to happen. So 1, 2, 3. Only 7 teams have a tight end right now. So that's 4 other people that could have went tight end that didn't. I did notice that all the quarterbacks are going, though. Since my last pick, lots of quarterbacks are gone. I mean, all the quarterbacks are off the board at this point through 7 rounds. Not all the quarterbacks, excuse me. Every team has a starting quarterback at this point through 7 rounds. So I keep finding that trend. It used to be, every team didn't have a starting quarterback till the 10th, 11th, 12th, round. Some people had 2 before someone picked one. Now everyone has one. So if you have a guy in mind that you think is a top, quarterback, you need to pick him in the 6th or 7th round if you don't get one of the top 2. So just keep that in mind. All right, so we're looking at tight end, and we're looking at depth here. So let's see who we like. Best player available, basically. All right. Tight ends, we still have Hayden Hurst. I want to pull the trigger here, because I have Hayden Hurst, if you didn't see my episode about GDP versus ADP. Hayden Hurst, a lot of people are talking about him, but I actually have him ranked really, really high. I believe I have him ranked number 4 in PPR. Yeah, number 4. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Hayden Hurst here. Just go ahead and get my guy. I know it's a little early, so that might knock my my draft grade down at the end. But I'm going to go ahead and take the guy that I want, make sure I get him. So let's see. Philip Lindsay, Henry Ruggs. Henry Ruggs is a great pick there. I would have thought about him with my next pick. So I have my quarterback. I have my tight end now. I have 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers, and there's only 5 picks left. So we're looking for a little bit of depth here. We're looking for some upside picks. I'm not looking for guys that I might play. Maybe I won't play. I'm looking for big upside, guys that can win. So I'm going with Kerryon Johnson first. I think he's going to start the season with DeAndre Swift's leg injury, being a rookie, no preseason games. I think it's a good bet that he gets the bulk of the work for the first 3 to 4 weeks at the very least. At this point in the draft, I can take that and see where that goes. And I like getting somebody with that kind of work. So let's see, a bunch of people go, some guys with upside, some handcuff running backs, some rookie wide receivers, some second-year wide receivers, all the expected guys in round 9 and round 10. So we're good with that. I'm going with another big upside guy that everyone's in love with, Antonio Gibson. So this is pure upside because we know the floor is 0. The floor quite literally could be 0 every week. We don't know that it's not. So that's an upside pick. I just grabbed 2 running backs here. So I feel good about my depth at running back. I'm going to look at some receivers here. Let's see what we have going on. All right, Jalen Reagor, he would have been gone much earlier, obviously, I think, if the injury didn't just happen. So I'm not going to look at him. You know what I like here? I like Allen Lazard here. Excuse me, you have to hear me slurp my vodka cocktail. I like Allen Lazard here. I like Deshaun Jackson for his usability for the first few weeks. We'll see what happens after that. But Philly is a depleted team with their wide receiver core. So Deshaun Jackson will have all the opportunity he can handle for as long as he can stay healthy. Some of these other guys I like, but they're a little too far down the line. I don't have to reach for them. Latavius Murray, Darrell Henderson. I like these guys, but I just went running back. I'm going to go with Allen Lazard. The number 2 wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers could be huge. In the sense that it could be a wide receiver 3 pretty easily at this ADP. I'm getting him, let's see what pick here. In the 11th round. So, 120 something. That's pretty solid value. Speaking of Green Bay Packers and value, Aaron Rodgers just went in the 12th round. And this guy has Tom Brady, so I kind of like that pick. He's got the 2 guys, combined 74 years of experience in the NFL, and we see what happens there. So, all right, I'm going to go with a backup quarterback here, I think. I'm going to see who's available, or a backup tight end. Just round out my depth a little bit here. So we're going to see what we have available. Quarterbacks, Daniel Jones, who I love for the second half of the season. I'm going to go Daniel Jones. There's Ben Roethlisberger. There's Cam Newton. You know, I want somebody that I'm not thinking about starting right away just because I do have Lamar Jackson. So I'm probably not going to start anybody over Lamar Jackson throughout the season. That being said, Daniel Jones has a brutal start to the season. You probably have heard that before. It's like Pittsburgh, Chicago, San Fran. It's all brutal. It's ugly. It's ugly. But then after that, it eases up like week 6. And I haven't, pegged as a guy who could take a big step forward. He just has that big hurdle, that obstacle of having those guys ahead of him. So, all right, I'm looking at tight end backup here. And TJ Hawkinson is there. Dallas Goedert, Jack Doyle, and Blake Jarwin. So, I don't want to get too repetitive on these shows because I like a lot of these guys. So, but just to give you my overall rankings here in PPR, to give you an idea of how close it is, Blake Jarwin I have as my tight end 8. So he's right there, right? Oh, no, I lost it. Where are you? There we are. So I have him as my tight end 8, and he's got 173 points. And TJ Hawkinson I have as my wide receiver or tight end 11 with 160 points. So not even a point a game there of difference. But I am going to go with Jarwin. Actually, I'm going to go with Hawkinson. Just to cheat the system, I want my draft grade to be better. So I'm going to go with TJ Hawkinson. That's my last pick in this draft. We're going to see what the grade is in a second here. Ooh, my worst grade so far. Oh, is it a coincidence that I've now had more drinks than I have had any draft so far? I don't know. Let's look and see what might have happened here. Let's look at the Fantasy Pros experts. So this is a B. It's a B team, not a bad team, but not a great team by most accounts. Now Dan Harris of Fantasy Pros loves my team. It's a 94. Mike Tagliere does not love my team at all. A C plus, 77, and 81 from Kyle Yates. So let's see what players here they might not have liked. Obviously, they have to like Lamar Jackson. Nothing to say about that. Ezekiel Elliott, you can't say anything about that. Let's look at the groups overall. I mean, Lamar Jackson, Daniel Jones, top tier, quarterback group. Zeke Elliott, David Johnson, Ronald Jones, Kerryon Johnson, Antonio Gibson. That is definitely the weakness of this team. So, I went quarterback. I went Lamar Jackson, instead of going with the running back. Or, excuse me, I went Tyreek Hill instead of going with the running back. And that's what really happened here because I'm stacked at wide receiver. Tyreek Hill, Tyler Lockett, Marvin Jones, Allen Lazard. I've got plenty of playmaking ability on the outside. I've got Hayden Hurst, and I've got TJ Hawkinson. Maybe I shouldn't have taken a second tight end. I should have taken some more depth there to get a better, a better score. I'm not sure if that was the deal here, but I'm going to look at my projected standings, see what it looks like for my starters. Listen, my starters are projected to be the 3rd highest scoring team. Sorry, no, I don't know how to read. Excuse me. My starters are projected to be the 5th highest scoring team, and my bench is the 4th highest. So even though I got a B, my overall team is projected to be the 3rd highest scoring team. So I'm not sure. I'm not a teacher. I don't know how you grade, but 3rd best in the class out of 12, I feel like is at least a B plus. Right? All right. Just making sure you agree with me. Just making sure you agree with me. Okay. Well, listen. That's going to do it for us. That's the end of our pick 3 mock draft episode. I'm struggling now, if you can tell. But that's going to do it for us. So I appreciate you joining us. Listen, if you're watching us on YouTube, thank you very much. But now you can also listen to the podcast on all major podcasting platforms. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and a bunch of other ones I had never heard of before, but are including in my podcasting platform. So they're on there also. So you can find them in a few different places. Please help the show, listen to it, subscribe wherever you're listening, download the shows, like them, share them, all that good stuff. I hope you're getting ready for your draft this weekend. I hope you're ready to kick some butt, and I hope you're ready for some football, baby. All right. Have a good one. We'll talk to you next time. Take it easy.